Welcome to the Homeschool 5 in 10, the podcast where every episode is filled with 5 of the best homeschooling takeaways, tips, and resources in 10 minutes or less. I'm your host, Kathy Gosen. Let's get started. Hello, everyone. I am very excited to talk today about family schooling. It's one of the reasons I enjoy homeschooling so much. I enjoy when we can all sit around the table or living room learning about the same things together. We have a 4-year-old, 10-year-old, and 12-year-old, so the age span is somewhat wide. While our 4-year-old doesn't do everything with us, it's amazing how much she picks up just by listening. And she always has to be in on the science experiments. I mean, who wouldn't want to see an egg cooked in alcohol or watch a baking soda and vinegar volcano erupt? The older girls also enjoy family schooling because it means there is less they have to do on their own. They love the social interaction, and I can't name how many times our academic lessons have resulted in conversations over the dinner table as we connected the dots between our studies and real life. Because we family school so many subjects, we also save money and time. Instead of 3 textbooks for a subject, we only need 1. Instead of having to spend time with each child on each subject, I can do it all at once for all 3. While this doesn't work for every school subject, it has worked for several. So here are our 5 favorite subjects to study together. Number 1, history. History and geography are great subjects to study together and by far my favorite. In fact, we often use our history as a spine to connect our read-aloud books, Bible, writing, fine arts, and even science. Mystery of History is currently our favorite history curriculum. It is comprised of 4 volumes that take a chronological look at world history from a Christian perspective. The author, Linda Hobart, includes short stories, book recommendations, geography reinforcement ideas, timeline suggestions, and hands-on activities to help make history come alive. One reason she is so family school friendly is because her activity and book suggestions are broken down into age groups so you can easily read the history lesson together and then assign reinforcement activities that are age appropriate to each of your children. Although I think Mystery of History can easily stand on its own 2 feet as more than enough. If you are looking for something a little more in depth, you might take a look at adding Truth Quest or Biblioplan to give you even more read-aloud options, commentary, and in-depth discussions. And if you are looking for a geography curriculum, I actually created one because I couldn't find one that was as family-friendly and multimedia-oriented as I desired. So be sure to check out the link for that, as well as all the curriculum I suggest today in the show notes. Number 2, science. Science is another great subject to study together because it is so hands-on. From science experiments to read-aloud books, nature study journals to reinforcement videos, there is a lot to interest kids of all ages. After trying several different kinds of science curricula over the years, we have finally found our groove with Berean Builders by Dr. Weil, the author of the original high school Apologia books. We especially like his elementary series because he takes a chronological look at science, which fits in great with our history studies. I also appreciate that his science experiments often use things found around the house, so I rarely have to make a concerted effort to gather experiment supplies before each lesson. In addition, he divides his summary questions by age group, yet again appealing to the family school approach to science. Each day we complete a lesson. I am amazed at both my oldest daughter's understanding of scientific concepts as well as my youngest daughter's interest in scientific reactions. But don't think Berean Builders is the only family-friendly option out there. If a topical look at science, especially in the elementary years, appeals more to your family, I've heard great things about Apologia Science. And for those who prefer more subject variety throughout the year, God's Design series from Answers in Genesis is also a family school-friendly science curriculum. That brings us to number 3, Bible. Family schooling provides a great opportunity for you to delve deeper into the scriptures together. It also opens the doors for you to discuss with your children what you believe and why. While I think it is important for children and adults to have their own personal quiet time with Jesus each day, Completing a study together as a family gives you the opportunity to lead your children in the way they should go. As Deuteronomy 6:7 says, "You shall teach the Lord's commands diligently to your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise." By studying the Word together, you are creating opportunities for this scripture to become reality in your family life. Currently, we are completing Apologia's What We Believe series together, which encourages students to look at the following questions through a biblical worldview. Who is God? Who am I? Who is my neighbor? And what on earth can I do? These books have paralleled well with Mystery of History as they draw on stories and biographies of individuals from each of the 4 time periods as defined by Mystery of History. Through this series, we have been able to naturally have serious discussions about some of the more sensitive topics in our world today, including abortion, prejudice, critical race theory, and creation. And while we don't personally use the journals that accompany the series, the curriculum is also written with both young and old in mind, as they provide age-appropriate supplemental journals and coloring books to go alongside the core textbooks. But don't think that you have to have a curriculum to study the Bible together. In fact, I highly recommend reading the book Together, Growing Appetites for God by Carrie Ward, which encourages the simplicity of just reading the scripture daily together. Number 4, the arts. Music and art are also fun subjects to learn together. While learning to play an instrument tends to be individualized, learning music history, music theory, and even singing can often be learned together. My favorite resource for family-style music classes are Music in Our Homeschool's online courses by Gina Mayo. Gina's courses are fun, interactive, informative, and applicable to most ages. You can learn everything from the history of holiday music and musicals to 4-part hymn singing and high school music history. Art is also a fun subject families can study together because although the lessons could apply to artists young and old, students can create their own masterpieces according to their own skill level. There are several online art tutorials we have done as a family over the years, and if you are looking for an art-focused curriculum, Artistic Pursuits creates an excellent curriculum with a fairly wide and adaptable age span. Number 5, language arts. Only recently have I come to realize the benefits of teaching language arts together. Up until this year, with the exception of read-alouds, we have done most of our language arts studies separately. However, this year has really opened my eyes to some different ways to approach language arts so as to make it more family-friendly. For example, my middle child is working through the All About Spelling series. While this series is definitely one-child-focused, it has provided a wonderful opportunity for my youngest child, who has recently learned to read, to practice reading aloud. Now, while my middle child is completing her dictation sentences, my youngest child is reading the sentences to her. We have also recently begun using IEW's Level B themed based curriculum and love how it is both adaptable to multiple ages and relates to our history studies. Both my oldest and middle daughters are able to learn about writing together as a result, all the while still writing at their own level. And this is something that could apply to several writing curricula. Given a uniform topic, children can approach writing on their level, which could be something as simple as 1 sentence for a first grader to a 5-paragraph essay for a high schooler. Finally, if you'd like to consider family schooling for all subjects, there is that possibility too. My Father's World and Konos are among several box curriculums that are known for their multi-age, family-friendly approach to homeschooling. So as you look for curriculum this year, if you have an interest in learning subjects together as a family, look for words like unit study or one-room schoolhouse or multi-age. Also look for curriculum that has suggestions for how to implement the same curriculum across multiple ages. Some curriculum is intended for individual use and therefore would not be a good match for family schooling, but there are several curriculums out there that are written with the family in mind. If you are struggling with getting it all in for multiple students, I encourage you to try family schooling. If you want to develop stronger connections with your family, save money or time, family schooling is the way to go. I hope you'll give it a try and shoot me an email telling me how it goes. And when you email me, let me know what your favorite family schooling curriculum is. I can't wait to hear it. This concludes today's episode of the Homeschool 5 and 10. If you enjoyed listening to today's podcast, please leave a review on whatever platform you are listening on and click the subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. All links mentioned in today's episode can be found in the show notes on thehomeschool5and10.com. Thanks again for listening to today's Homeschool 5 and 10, the show where I share the best and less. Tune in next week as we talk about 5 important events in modern homeschool's history. See you then.